Our next guest was the co-host with our host on the Edge Sports Talk radio show on ESPN Radio here in San Diego. Please welcome to the show for the very first time, Bobby Wooldridge.
There he is! Bobby Woo is in the house. What's up, my man?
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for inviting me in.
The Edge. Do you remember The Edge?
Oh, I still miss it to this day.
Yeah.
I don't know if the
awesome.
audience remembers The Edge, but...
Maybe not. It was a short-lived dream that we had that was great on ESPN Radio, doing sports talk radio. And by the way, when I asked you to come on the show today, we were just going to do... I just wanted your take on the Chargers. I didn't realize they were going to file an application to leave today.
Yeah.
And by the way, before we get to that, I don't think a lot of people know your history in the space. So how long did you produce for Hacksaw?
I was with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, the legendary Lee Hacksaw. He makes me say that every time. Yeah, still, I'll get phone calls from him if I don't introduce him like that. But yeah, I was with Lee for maybe 3 years and a couple different time slots with him and multiple different co-hosts and failed experiments with Lee. But worked with him and Scott and VR here in San Diego and Dave and Jeff also still here in San Diego.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They are still doing it.
But
getting their thing done.
Those were all small potatoes compared to working with you on the Edge.
On the Edge, right, exactly. Now, Lee Hamilton, he's known, I mean, like a lot of people, Jim Rome, in fact, is known as for kind of like making fun of him.
Yeah.
That's how he got his shtick.
Everyone makes fun of him.
Everyone makes fun of him. I mean, it was one of those things where people thought that he should have been gone like a long time ago. That's what the chatter was like, why is this guy still on the air? But you were producing his shows at that time. Tell us, is there anything that we don't know about Hacksaw that you could tell the audience?
Well, Lee Hacksaw, he plays this really tough guy, sports, but he actually is a genuinely good guy with a good heart, and he doesn't let that out very often. And I have a theory, we've talked about the Chargers leaving here. There is the curse of the Hacksaw that I don't know if you know.
I don't know about that.
The last time the Chargers went to the Super Bowl, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton was their play-by-play announcer. Since they relieved him of his duties, they haven't been back.
Oh, wow. There it is.
The curse of the saw.
Well, we figured it out right here on Smarter San Diego TV. This is where you
end the segment, wrap it up. There it is. That's all you need to know.
The curse of the Hacksaw.
Yes.
So I agree with you, by the way, because when I was doing my show, the Mr. Credit Radio show, I would run into Hacksaw at BCA in the hallways, and he was always super polite. He would always say really nice things. So I do want to say, I commend him for that. I mean, he did have that bravado when he was on the air. He would yell at people, say, "You're an idiot," and that was always funny. Everyone loved that stick. It was great. But he really is a nice guy. I mean, he would genuinely, before he even knew who I was, he would be like, "How you doing? Good morning."
Well, and there's plenty of things wrong with him, but it's only a 10-minute segment, so I don't want to...
We don't want to go down that road.
No.
So this happened with the Chargers. What actually happened? They filed the paperwork to leave? They want to go?
So Chargers, Raiders, Rams have all filed paperwork to request to relocate to Los Angeles, and it would have been a bigger surprise if any of those teams didn't file. It was their first opportunity to file. They all filed, and now it's up to the 32 team owners. They need a 3/4 vote. I'm not a math guy, but I believe that's 24 owners.
Correct.
Need to allow the Chargers or Raiders or Rams to give them the thumbs up. You guys are allowed to move to LA. And
could they all move? Is that possible?
The league wants 2 teams. It'll be 2 out of 3. 1 team will be left in the cold. If you're a betting man, which I am, I check the Vegas odds. Chargers are the odds-on favorite to leave. So
the number one favorite.
The number one favorite to leave, followed by the Rams, followed by the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see the Raiders. That doesn't make any sense to me. For the Raiders to go to LA. Have they been to LA? Been in LA though in the past?
I would love the Raiders to come back. To me, that seems like the perfect fit. I'm from Orange County and grew up in LA as well, and went to college in LA. You can walk down the street, you'll still see Raider fans. You'll still see Raiders hats and T-shirts.
It's true.
They
Here,
were
there's a
the
ton of
LA
them here.
Raiders. When I was like a little kid, when we used to come here on vacation, they were the LA Raiders.
Indeed.
So why do these teams come to LA and then leave? Because the Rams were also in LA before.
Bring back the straight out of Compton, type of thing too.
Right.
The Raider fans would go crazy if you brought them back. Nobody likes the Chargers in LA.
Yeah.
They hate the Chargers.
I don't get it.
And I don't. The move doesn't make any sense to me. Why they'd uproot them and bring
I have a
them there.
feeling that I know why this is all taking place, and it's a common sense theory, but money. And what's happened is people have seen how much money the LA Dodgers have been making, and they're going, why are the Dodgers getting all this money? I mean, they have a good team. Yeah, it's a big market, but why are they getting all this money? Because you have the Dodgers, you have the Clippers, the Lakers, the Kings, okay, and then you have
USC, UCLA, everything else, Galaxy. I mean, there's
tons of stuff there. But the Dodgers, big brand, been there for a long time. They've done a good job. The organization's spending money, and they're making that money on their spend. So there's ROI there. So I have a feeling that these NFL teams are looking at that and going, man, these guys are getting just a ton of the professional sports revenue in LA, billions of dollars. Crazy. Their payroll's insane, and it's nothing. And they could spend $300 million a year on payroll for the Dodgers, and it's nothing. Nothing. So I think that's what it is. I think they saw that, and once that started happening, as soon as Magic Johnson moved in, basically, they were like, wait a minute. Smooth? No. So they decided they want to come for that money. That's what I think it is. I think it's all about dollars. They think there's a lot of extra money there. I don't know if there is, though, Bobby.
There is money to be made there. There is kind of NFL owners, poor us in San Diego. No NFL team is losing money. No owner is going to be eating dog food in retirement. They're doing quite all right.
Yeah.
You get almost $200 million just for owning a team. That's a check they give you at the beginning of the year. Hey, you own a team? Here's the revenue sharing. And that's before you sell tickets, before you sell TV time, before you sell jerseys, and anything else that you can think of. And so they're doing just fine. But they would also have to pay a $550 million relocation fee, any team that goes there.
Okay.
And that's before you move your desk and everything else and personnel and yada yada. And before you even put a shovel in the ground to build the stadium. So this is going to be an expensive move.
Yeah, big time. So there's a lot that goes behind that, too. But everyone seems to have done the math. It seems like everybody wants in. Now, there's only going to be two teams. You said the Chargers are the favorite. Who's the least favorite?
Raiders, they said, is the odds-on least favorite. But to me, they're in the most dire situation. I don't know if you've been to the Oakland Coliseum. And judging by, I don't think you have any bullet or stab wounds on you, so it looks like you haven't, because it is a scary place. But they need to get out of Oakland. They're going nowhere in Oakland. They do have Al Davis' son's owning the team now. It doesn't seem quite as much of a wild card as his dad was. And so I think they would really benefit from a move back down to here. They'd be embraced. If the Chargers came up there, it'd be kind of cool, I guess. Well, maybe we'll check out a game. But I think most of their ticket sales would be the corporates buying up suites and things like that and giving them out to clients rather than actual fans in the stadium buying season tickets.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think the Chargers would do very well in LA, but it looks like it's happening. I mean, it's happening. So I've seen a lot of rumors about MLS potentially coming to San Diego.
That would be rad.
Would that be cool?
That would be so
I
cool.
think the town would love an MLS team. Or any type of professional soccer. We have the Sockers, which I've checked out their games before, and those are fun. They're a blast, but it's not at the same par as an MLS team or NFL team.
Yeah, no question about that. So is it a good thing, though, at the end of the day, if the Chargers do leave? Because everyone just kind of assumes that it's a bad thing. But would it actually be, are there some positives there?
I think there is some positive. It obviously won't cost the taxpayers tons and tons of money, and it's sort of like a Band-Aid. The most painful part of the situation is the waiting and the doubt. But if you just pull the Band-Aid off and they go, and we can focus on other things here. Obviously, Comic-Con's a big draw. Padres are still a big draw. It's still a destination city.
Right.
And you wouldn't know it by looking outside by Stormageddon, but it's usually pretty good weather around here, too.
Stormageddon.
Yeah.
All I can think of is that old SNL skit with Chris Farley. He goes, "I am El Nino," Spanish for the Nino. It's so good.
Well, you said Padres, so you went there. Pretty disappointing season last year for the Pods. I mean, they went and spent all that money and then had like the exact same record as the year before or something like that.
Even worse.
Was it worse?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But they did draw a lot more people. They spent a lot more time and money and energy and effort marketing the product and getting people down into the stadium and creating a better experience in that stadium. So are the Padres just completely doomed? I mean, because they went and spent the money, got the names, and it still didn't happen.
Well, kudos to the Padres, and if they're hiring, I'm available. So, but kudos to the Padres. They're doing things the right way. They have new ownership in there. They have new leadership in there, and I think they're on the right track. Obviously, the products on the field's not quite what we expect or would hope for, but They spent money on a giant jumbotron. It looks beautiful, and the game experience is better. The Star Wars night thing they did, they're doing cool promotions, and really something that the San Diego public can be excited about going down there for.
Right.
And they're doing things the right way, and even just the way they're utilizing the ballpark outside of the baseball games, like the links at Petco Park. I went down there and was able to golf with my dad and brother and one of my best friends, and we had a blast. And they're doing concerts. Taylor Swift came into town.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know.
Oh, well, we're like that. The Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, all this stuff, and they're thinking outside the box, which I like. Something that the previous ownership and previous management didn't do.
Were you disappointed in their managerial decision as far as who they brought in as the manager?
Too early to tell. I honestly don't know much about him, and anybody who says they know a lot about him is lying. He's never had an MLB job. You don't know what he's going to do. I'm on Team Buddy Black. I wish they would have kept him.
I think that was crazy. Buddy would have managed that team better. He would have done a better job.
Well, I think they pulled the trigger a little early. Anything pre-All-Star break, you don't really know what you have on your hands. Padres are a second-half team. We've seen that with Buddy Black teams in the past. They break late.
Always.
And I wish they would have stayed with him a little longer. And the guy they had in there, he just was not going to be a good fit.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough thing because you go out and you spend the money, and very few teams go and spend the money in baseball and have it not work out, for the most part. If you look at the payrolls and you look at the stats at the end of the year, they line up pretty close. There are some teams that are really efficient that will sort of outkick the coverage, if you will, as far as their performance versus their payrolls. But for the most part, people go and spend the kind of money that the Padres did, and they still have to eat a big piece of the burger of that Matt Kemp deal, which comes this year. So they're going to have an even bigger payroll this year than they did last year. I just don't see what's going to change anything in the results column. Do you think that they'll have a good year?
I think it'll be similar, maybe a little bit better. It's just such a competitive division with the Dodgers spending insane amount of money, and the Giants have a checkbook with a billion zeros in it too, and so it's a tough division. But as we've seen with the Kansas City Royals and the Cardinals and other teams, you don't need to be the highest spender to win a championship. You can find holes in the system, and the way the game of baseball is set up and played, you can find loopholes to make some pretty strong teams on a balanced budget.
Okay, but do you think that will happen this year for the Padres?
But I've been wrong before. It can happen. I wouldn't have said the Kansas City Royals 2 years ago. They really had a breakout year and they made it to a World Series. I didn't think they were going to be anywhere near the playoffs, let alone a World Series contender. And now they've gone to back-to-back World Series and won one.
Yeah, great stuff, Bobby Wooldridge. Wish we had more time with you, man. Thanks for coming today. Really appreciate it.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's not like radio, man. We don't have an hour like we used to.
Get security. I'm not leaving.
Appreciate your time. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.